we all had pretty strong reactions.
Yes, we did.
Let's just clarify first. Rachel watched the Palin speech on TV from the CNN Grill, and Anna and I watched it from inside the center.
Albeit from very, very high up in the center.
But I think that's important to point out, because I had a much different experience than I normally do watching these things on TV.
I think so too. I would go and say, actually, if I could do quickly, before Palin, there was Giuliani.
Right.
And Giuliani, it was probably, I'm not going to judge the speech, but what I was fascinated by was the way that that crowd was eager to chant anything. They were just going to chant whatever you told them to chant.
Whatever noun, whatever verb, as long as there was a 9/11.
But in that noun and verb mindset, I actually think this is the first time I heard Giuliani apply his 9/11 mayoral experience well. I thought that he did as much as he
You're right.
makes me cringe.
When he does noun, verb, 9/11, yeah.
It's the first time I ever heard him use that to his advantage.
But that's the highlight of the speech, and then I would say a low light of the speech is when they somehow alighted upon drill, baby, drill as a chant, which I've said before, I think having the first female vice presidential nominee on the Republican ticket, you should not combine that with drill, baby, drill. That's just a little pornographic for me.
Okay, so
Speaking of pornography.
And we're going to regroup and get back to the Palin speech. Really, nobody's talking about Giuliani, Mitt, anybody else except for Palin, because this was her moment. And you know what? She read what was on her teleprompter very, very well.
Much like Barack Obama does.
I had such a different reaction. I thought she did such a, I didn't agree with much of what she said, but I thought she did an excellent job. And I think the opening of the Saturday Night Live premiere next week is going to be Tina Fey doing what she said.
So they have to have Tina Fey back to her. It really is Tina Fey running for president.
Sarcasm. Karen from Will and Grace. She really resembles Karen more to me.
Oh, that's so funny.
And in her voice as well. But about the speech, I'm not saying that it wasn't a good speech. I'm saying that so far, what do we know about Sarah Palin? We know about what she did on Friday morning. We know about what she did on this speech, and then we know in the interim from whatever the media's been able to dig up thus far, because she sat for no interviews, and the McCain campaign has not made her available, and she's unknown, and she has not been vetted.
But she wasn't going to come into that speech and make herself and vet herself in front of the world.
All I'm saying is that this went off. This was a performance that went off without a hitch, much like in Mesco Field. But the difference between Obama and Biden is that we have gotten to know them. We've gotten to see them. We've had debates. We've seen them on the national stage for a year and a half. Sarah Palin, this is her introduction. So it went well, but it was scripted. Let's see her live. Let's do it live, like O'Reilly said.
I thought that Rex, why do you keep zooming?
I think it's just visual interest.
Okay.
You're visually interesting. I think we can all agree.
Great. I thought she was super engaging. I thought she did a really good job. There were moments in there that I texted Rachel in the middle of that and said, I think that they're going to win. It was a very powerful moment.
And I texted back, and this was stagecraft, and we'll see how
and you're absolutely right.
And I am fascinating that people quote their own texts to each other. But
I'm not quoting it to Rachel. I'm
That's
quoting
good.
it to the camera.
But no, I would say it's behind the scenes.
But also, at the very end, when she came out with her family and picked up her baby, I thought beyond politics, that was a pretty amazing image that the woman who could be second in line to the presidency was standing on stage with her baby, 4-month-old baby in her arms, and that is not something we have ever seen ever.
4-month-old, let's just say it, special needs.
Special needs.
And I would say that was handled, I thought, that's a very dangerous territory for anyone to sort of go into and talk about and bring it up in a political speech. And it sort of worked. Again, I'm not going to say agree, disagree. I'm just I felt the thing that you're supposed to feel when you're watching that.
Or the one sentence.
I'm just saying, I think that Glynis and I are because maybe we were in the hall and that emotion was sort of there.
The chanting eventually went
Down with the media.
The chanting.
That was intense when they all sort of the crowd shook their
Right, well, how dare the media want to know something about it? How dare they ask? How dare they ask uncomfortable questions? They should sit on the Straight Talk Express and take what John McCain gives them.
They don't even get to sit on the Straight Talk Express anymore.
Right.
And now we're talking about pornography again. So I think it's time to wrap it up.
Wait a second. John McCain gives you pornography.
Take what he gives you, man.
Wow. You've actually been on the Straight Talk Express.
That's right.
So we'll defer to you on this one.
Well, I've signed a non-disclosure agreement.
And that in and of itself
message and final thoughts?
I snuck onto the Straight Talk to the Press and I took pictures.
I think final thoughts was this was her debut to the American public, and I think a lot of them were watching. I think she did a really good job. I think that it's going to take a lot of shoes dropping in the next week to negate the last hour of her speech.
As my colleague Karen Tumulty said, it sounds like there might be a whole Payless exploding at some point in the future, but I think that's what it's going to take to get her off the ticket.
You know, I'm not talking about getting off the ticket. I'm just talking about what's going to come down before November 4th. I think this was an amazing debut. It was a great speech. She